what it is. How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about Ghost, much like me. Well, for right now, you'll see me later. Anyway, the point is, well, unless you're on the audio version, actually. Look, the point is that we're going to be talking about all the things. We're going to talk about the Patrick Swayzes, the Demi Moores, that excessively long pottery scene, all the jams. So, if you want to hear what we have to say, sit back, relax, grab a snack, grab a beverage, and tune on in to the first ones to die.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the First Ones to Die podcast. Hello, how you doing? Hope your week is going great. My name is Jonathan. I am here with the lovely Alex and Jerome. How are you both doing today? Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Hit myself. I have a little bump on my head. I kind of hit myself on a counter, which I dropped a potato, and that's what happened. Pretty much do contact, not context. I may have hit myself a little bit harder than I thought. But other than that, I've been doing good. My mom is now back in Oregon. I miss her very much. But it's kind of nice just having my little place back to me and Cheddar. So I've been having a kind of a relaxing week. So it's been nice. How about you, Jerome? How you doing?
Doing good. Tired. But that's just because I've been working a lot. Feeling good though. You know, I've been busy working on stuff of varying degrees, mostly comic book stuff coming off of doing the milestone initiative. It's almost over, which just feels like yesterday we just got started and now we're already close to the end. But this isn't the end, you know, comic book like for our careers, just for the summit, you know. So like that's the attitude we're kind of going at it with, where it's like now it's just onward to bigger and better things. Speaking of which, I just got my tickets for Emerald City Comic Con, so I'll be there Thursday and Friday. So anyone who's a listener and going to be at Emerald City Comic Con on Thursday or Friday, come see if you see me. I don't know.
I'll be there Saturday and Sunday.
So I'll be around. And also, if you miss me there, you could catch me in September. I just got tickets for the Gorillaz North American tour. So excited, finally get to see Gorillaz live. They're gonna be at Climate Pledge Arena. So if you're going, I know it's a lot of months out, but if you're going, I might be there. I might be in your section. You don't know. I might be around. So
Jonathan, what's going on with you?
Yes, it's been 2 weeks since y'all have seen my face and or heard my voice. So last week, well, it would be 2 weeks since when, by the time this will have been released. 2 weeks ago, as part of work, James Hong, the legendary actor, he got his star on the Walk of Fame. So that was fun getting to participate in the festivities. I got to meet Jamie Lee Curtis very briefly, but she was there. And Daniel Day Kim, I didn't meet him, but I stood like 5 feet away from him at one point during the reception. So that was fun. And then my mom came into town for my birthday weekend, and that was fun. We had a good time, a lot of LA eats. And this, speaking of tickets, I'm also have plans for an event this upcoming Wednesday. This Wednesday, for those who have been listeners of this podcast, as far back as a couple weeks ago, maybe, you would know that I'm a fan of reality television. So naturally, I will be at the Survivor finale party in Santa Monica on Wednesday. It's hosted by Bryce and Wendell, two previous Survivor players, and Lauren, previous Survivor players. Wendell, he won the show. And a whole slew of Survivor / reality TV people are going to be there. So I'm just going to be in heaven So that'll be fun. And then I also found out today that our building, so like, or my apartment, the washing machine card, you have to like purchase a card and then you load money onto the card in order to use the washers and dryers. That's been broken for like maybe 2 weeks. And apparently people have been upset about it. So they emailed us and let us know today that while that's getting fixed, wash and dry is going to be free. So I'm
Nice.
pretty happy about that. It's a small win. So I'm definitely going to be taking advantage of that. I didn't get to do it before we started recording our podcast, because people were just using the washing machines up naturally. So hopefully sometime tomorrow morning or after we get off here.
Just go as
I got
quick as
clothes
you.
in the washing machine right now that I need to put in the dryer, and but it's my dryer, my washing machine.
It's so funny how adult things, how like adult you are and you don't realize it, that's in like your top list between like going to a reality TV like banquet event or thing like that, next to I get free washer and dryer. And I realized that because I also had a moment like that when we went out for drinks, a few of us, for my birthday. You, me, and Kaylee, Jerome, the first like 5 minutes we're there, we're talking about an air fryer. We're talking about our air fryers. I haven't seen like Kaylee in person in a while.
Good appliance. It's
and me
fantastic.
and her are just like going off about like, have you tried cooking this in your air fryer? Oh, I love my air fryer. Like air fryers. And I was like, this is really like a 31st birthday here. Like I'm really jazzed for my air fryer. And I love that everybody else is jazzed about their air fryer.
Listen, there's not much else you talk about when you become an adult. It's like it
Yeah,
becomes different segments. At first, it's like all your college work or like your first job. Then once you get older, then it becomes, having your own apartment and things that come with having your first apartment or your own apartment. And then it moves up to if you're married or have kids, your marriage or your kids. Like those are the conversations as you become an adult. And then once those kids have kids, then it becomes, you're about your kids and how they're messing up. And at your age, you were doing this, that, and the third.
I'm just saying, you don't realize it until you're just having these conversations. And like, I am so genuinely excited for you about getting free washing, like you getting a free washer and dryer to use. Like I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like the pure joy I feel for you is like, that's why I'm like, oh, that feels like really adult now. You don't
For real,
feel pure
it'll
joy
say
like that.
now I'm like I have to, and it's a good thing I have a good amount of clothes like loaded up to put in the wash, because it'll save a good amount of money. Now I'm just trying to find like anything and everything that I can wash to put in there.
Yeah, like
I'm actually excited to wash my clothes now.
Like wash your sheets, like wash like the couch cushions, anything, like everything and anything you can put in there. Yeah.
I probably won't wash those.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I hope you like wash your couch.
No, I like clean my. I don't like. I can't put it in the washing machine.
Yeah, you
because one. Anyway.
I should just
squish it in.
Anyway,
you just like unzip the covers off the cushions and then
my couch. You guys have both been on my couch before. My couch is suede. You can't wash a suede couch
in August. Like I don't remember.
And also, we didn't inspect your couch. We were happy to see you. We were focused on like seeing you and like
Jerome. You laid on my couch for a solid. Yeah,
you did.
Like
okay, there was a sheet
good amount of
over
time.
it. I couldn't even see the couch because all I saw was a bed sheet.
He also fell asleep. Like he laid down and just like you crashed. Again, I was excited to see you again. I didn't notice. You're right. It is. You can clean suede now. Can you not throw that in the wash?
You can. You just can't throw it in the washing machine now. You got to like clean it like differently. I forget how, but it's like you probably have to dab it, or something like that.
See, this is why I still just call my mom and ask her stuff. Like this is stuff I can easily Google. But like, I'm just like, nah, screw it. I'll just ask my mom, can I wash suede? And honestly, you guys, I don't know if you guys saw me or heard me when we were in LA. I had to call my mom and be like, hey, what type of sunscreen do I need? Because I don't really wear it.
I don't remember that.
When we went to like Walgreens, I like called up my mom because I'm like, all right, we're walking in the sun. I was like, hey, I'm like, I didn't really use sunscreen before. I'm like, but I need to know what's like the lowest or high, like what needs. She's like, you can't go lower than this. I'm like, okay. I'm like, so this type of. I'm like, does this brand work or this? Because she's also married to a white man, so he needs sunscreen. So he also helped out with that, and it was like, only this brand is going. I'm like, sweet, all right, getting it from the source, so now which sunscreen to protect me. But anyway, let's talk about what we're going to talk about and
Go.
Yes, but first, as you all may know, I was victorious in trivia round 5.
Current trivia champ.
So naturally, it was my turn to choose a film for us to watch.
Why you pick Ghost? I will never know.
Well, let him explain. Why'd you pick Ghost?
Exactly. So I chose the 1990s classic film, fantasy, thriller, romance film Ghost. If you don't know what Ghost is about, after a young man is murdered, his spirit stays behind to warn his lover of impending danger with the help of a reluctant psychic. Stars Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore, Whoopi Goldberg, Tony Goldwyn, and what was the other guy's name? Rick Aviles. So the reason why I chose this movie is because one day when I was a kid in middle school, I think it was 8th grade.
You mean once upon a time? Because one day is future tense. When
you know what? I was just complaining to my mom and my sister about how they do that to me. Like, let me, like, I'm trying to get into my story. Let me tell my story, and then come back with your critique.
You act like you are not that person to interrupt me in the middle of my stories and to correct me.
If I said one day long ago, you wouldn't act like I was speaking Swahili. You would know what I was saying. Okay.
Got a point. All right. So one day in the past.
Yes.
Once upon a time. Young Jonathan watched
Gibson,
Ghost.
can you come jump through the screen?
Listen, you ain't gonna finish the story. I'll finish it for you.
Cheddar's got it. I'll send Cheddar over. I'll send Cheddar over.
You're closer.
Yeah, we'll get fur all over that apartment. He'll never have another thing without cat fur on it again. So you were sick?
I was sick in 8th grade. And my parents had a VHS of this film Ghost. I had never seen it before. I do not know what compelled me to watch it, but I watched it. And when I tell you that I fell in love with it, I fell in love with the film. Now, watching it again, years later, I hadn't recalled a lot of the stuff in the film. I mainly only recalled the beginning and end, and the part where she goes to the bank, or the banker, where Whoopi Goldberg goes to the banker. No. But it was really a good experience to be able to watch it again, laugh at it, feel so emotional, cry. Sorry, I'm already going into my thoughts of the film, but yeah, it was. That's basically why I chose to watch the film. Had you got what was your experience with the film before? Had you guys seen it before watching it just now?
Long time ago. It's been a minute, definitely.
I think I can't even. I remember it like playing on like TNT. I think so. I remember watching it on there when it was like a lazy Sunday afternoon, and there's like nothing to watch because it's just right after all the cartoons and like nothing until the Sunday night. So I remember TNT would play those movies for like just on repeat, and I think Ghost was one of them. They played for like a week straight. But
yeah, I remember it. I was watching it same. It's like it was on TV, and I like caught it one time. Not from the beginning though. I think I caught it from when he had died, and then like that. But I mean, that's pretty much the beginning of the movie anyway. So
yeah, well, yeah, when he dies, it's literally like within 10 minutes, he's like dead.
10,
Spoiler,
15, somewhere
he's
around
dead
there.
in 10 minutes. But
I
you
mean,
know, the movie is called Ghost.
Somebody's got to be a ghost in there.
And I'm pretty sure if the trailer, if we YouTube the trailer, it probably shows him as the ghost as well. So I don't think anybody was spoiled in that sense.
You know what, I
Also-
was surprised really quick with the shot where he's dead, that it was a lot more bloody than I remember.
Oh yeah.
Because like in like 90s films and stuff, they get shot, but there's no, it's like the little
Yeah.
blood, and then they like hold, but like it was like everywhere, and she had it like on her, like that was like they like had fun with the blood packs there, and like put like let's
She played in it. She was just like, I'm gonna make finger puppets.
yeah, it was like
Finger
all
paintings.
low, like down her neck. I was like, this is so much more than I had anticipated, because I remember like older movies and their blood work wasn't as graphic or as like spilled when it was movies like this.
Yeah,
Like
probably.
RoboCop was solely on its own.
Yeah, RoboCop was like
The first like intro was like
nonstop.
just they went everything they had was in that first scene.
Murphy
But-
got massacred.
But with Ghost, I hadn't anticipated that, because the one thing I did remember from Ghost was, or one of the biggest parts was that scene. Well, I'll talk about it more because that's a good scene to talk about. But
Great double feature to do. Ghost Dad. Watch both back to back.
Ghost.
I don't know if Ghost Dad.
I mean, listen. I know people probably won't want to watch Ghost Dad right now because it's got Bill Cosby in it, but I'm just saying.
That's probably one thing. I never saw Ghost Dad. I've never heard of it.
It's all right. It's not better than Ghost.
Did
I
you
can tell
know-
that.
Did you know? Fun fact about Ghost Dad, and this is not a Ghost Dad episode, but fun fact about Ghost Dad. The daughter in the film, Raven Simone, initially auditioned for that role, but they saw her as too young for the film because she was like maybe 3 or something, and the daughter was supposed to be like 6 or something.
Mhm.
So they had they or Bill Cosby or whoever had her audition for the Cosby Show, and she got that because of it.
Oh wow,
Interesting.
she's so cute when she was little.
Yeah, Raven
That's what
Simone.
she
Most
was.
recent thing I saw her in, she was in an episode of Black Lady Sketch Show just recently.
Oh, I haven't watched that.
Which
show in a
also,
bit.
if you're not watching Black Lady Sketch Show, season 3 just ended, so you can binge the whole thing. Watch Black Lady Sketch Show. It's really
If you're like worried or you don't know if it's gonna be a good enough show, just go like YouTube this one sketch of the courtroom scene, the Black Lady sketch show, the courtroom scene or sketch. That is the best thing ever. Like I could not stop. That is like my all-time favorite thing, and just go look at it. Go look at it right now.
But anyway,
let's-
Ghost.
Alex.
Jumping
Go
into
ahead.
spoil. Let's just jump into spoilers. 'cause-
I mean, yeah, because the movie's
mean-
been out since like 19.
well, there are
For
still
30
some people.
years.
Yeah, 32.
several
um,
years.
32 years.
Yeah, because 1990 was the year right before I was born, and my mom was cooking me in her belly.
Nice.
I don't know if that's a good way to put it.
You're probably
A lot of the times when I
She's
talk,
she's got a ladle, just like. Nah, she's not ready yet.
a lot of times when I talk about like pregnancy or how my mom's carried, she's like, it's not a good term to use because I was a C-section. I'm like, oh yeah, the doctor scooped me out. She's like, no, Alex, you weren't scooped out. You make people think you were just like spooned out or something.
maybe maybe the ladle analogy I just used actually was very applicable. They took a ladle, just boop, there you go.
But anyway,
But they
So
do
go-
use the
I got-
analogy
I
of
got
fun in
scooped
the
out, too.
oven. So
yeah.
but
But
I think I just came out normal.
I was a difficult birth. I can't make anything easy on anybody. With Ghost was an interesting movie because you have to think about it. A lot of the premise is set on the fact that he had to find a person, Whoopi Goldberg, who was able to channel him, and she had to make people believe her. And if somebody came up to you and was like, "Hey, your dead like relative sent me," would you believe them? Because it wasn't until they gave like some secret code, and I forget what it was, when they were at the diner. Oh, or he said something where she finally believed her.
Ditto.
Yeah, and it was like, would you still believe a person if they somehow figured out, like, do you have secret messages with anybody? So if they go into the afterlife, they try
I'm
to
not
contact
close
you?
enough with anybody for there to be anything super secret special that only I and one other person would know. So probably not. I mean, at least nothing I can think of. There's probably, yeah, nothing I can think of. No, Jonathan, you got secrets?
If someone relayed a conversation that like was just between me and somebody else, but then it's hard nowadays because everybody got phones. Siri always listening to us. Google, Amazon Alexa is always listening to us. So there's probably a way to find out a conversation and not have your first thought be it's a ghost communicating with me. Your first thought will probably just be, oh, you're spying on me and you're trying to make me believe that
It's a scam.
This is a ghost situation.
You
right.
know what? I honestly expected that more from Jerome than from you, Jonathan. You're more optimistic about things. Sorry, Jerome. Sorry. But like, yeah, I didn't expect you to be like, it's a scam.
It's a fraud. She's a fraud and a liar.
I didn't expect that from you.
But if I had lived,
I get what you're
maybe
saying.
if I lived in the 90s, well, I did live in the 90s, but if I was,
I mean, as
this
a baby,
age,
Jonathan, there's not like, it's
right.
not like they're
I
gonna
mean,
walk up to this child and be like, listen, I am so-and-so from the future, like, or from the past, and I died.
Well, that was that whole topic we had about like, what if you met yourself in the past? How could
not that young. Jonathan, we're talking to Jonathan at toddler age. He doesn't understand much of anything, let alone like the
Hey, toddlers are so much smarter than you think.
Not that smart to believe a spirit is just come
because
alive.
It's only until teenhood that we stop believing in things. That's how you get little emos. I think maybe like I feel like my mom would definitely believe something. My sister, I think I would just have to tell the person who's communicating. I'm like, call her an asshole. No, it's fine. Call her an asshole. Say she's a fucking asshole, and like that'll probably make her believe you. Because it's like, oh, it's supposed to be sweet and warm. Like, oh no, Alex is insulting me from. If you guys get insulted by a psychic, that's probably me from the afterlife.
My thing is, this movie has forever like made pottery sexual, and I feel like that's a thing that this movie.
I had forgotten how sensual. Well, I mean, of course, that's the iconic scene. It's like the iconic pottery scene and everything. But like the pottery that she was creating,
she's not even making phallic. Anything.
Yeah, it was very phallic.
They knew what they were doing when they were making the movie. They're like, "Now it's like, do you want me to make something or whatever?" No, Demi, just make like, look, just make a penis, okay? Just like let's just be real. We all know what we're all about to do, right? Y'all know what
in all fairness to that scene, if you've ever done pottery, which I have, it is very phallic at the beginning because you just have to like no, I'm like I'm not gonna actually, you know what? I'm gonna keep my hands down. I don't want any hand gestures that I'm doing.
Probably not best.
Start making some gifts.
Yeah,
that you don't want on the internet.
But it is because you're like trying to mold it, and then you like do the pushing. None of the phrases I'm saying help, but it is. You do have a very phallic at the beginning, and then eventually shape it. In all fairness, she got distracted by Patrick Swayze, who I forgot was like, because I remember Patrick Swayze in his older years. I forgot how like he was attractive for the 90s.
Very handsome.
He was a heartthrob through the 90s.
As was Tony Goldwyn as well, and he's very handsome now. Tony Goldwyn. If you don't know,
you should have seen that coming. Like Tony, like he was not very discreet about his business dealings at all.
For those who don't know, Tony Goldwyn, most famous nowadays as the president on Scandal.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
I was trying to figure out. I'm like, he looks familiar, but I didn't know why.
Terry Washington.
Mm-hmm. I like Scandal for like an episode, and that was it. I don't. It's not. I don't think it's very good. But anyway, no. And then like their clothes were so tight. I forgot. I remember there's jokes about Patrick Swayze's like jeans from like I think it was Roadhouse, but like he wore the tightest clothes.
His jeans were super tight, bro.
Like it was so insane. And then I'm like, okay, it's Patrick Swayze. No, everybody's like jeans were super tight back then for some reason.
Except Demi Moore. She doesn't wear jeans. She wears just baggy pants the whole movie.
She's in mourning. She needs to be comfortable.
Yeah, she's in more literally 2 days after like what's his face dies. His best friend is already trying to make moves. I mean, the man poured coffee on himself.
And she accepts those. Yeah, I had forgotten about that. I don't even remember that scene from when I first watched it. But I'm like, okay.
Also, my thing is, I'm like, as handsome as you are, you mean to tell me there's out of all the girls you could have, you want the one whose like long-term boyfriend just died?
Well, that was, I think,
and you were part of the murder.
Right, well, that's probably what helped. He's like, oh, I can get her. He's like, I've been secretly wanting her. It's that whole jealousy. Like, I wanted her because he had her. Now he's gone. I can go for her, but he doesn't think it's an inappropriate time, and he might come off as a.
And then on top of that, she was ready. She was just like, yep, I'll just let him kiss me or whatever. I don't know. What?
Yeah, that's actually weird. I've seen that, but that seems to be apparent in like quite a few movies and shows where like I just lost somebody, but I guess it's the need to like feel somebody close again to you. Although his character takes care of that later in the pottery scene. And just my favorite character throughout this whole film was Whoopi Goldberg's character, because she was just, I just feel like she's very realistic in this movie, like dealing with all this stuff. She's getting annoyed and frustrated. She's like, couldn't you just go bother somebody else now? Like, I'm so sorry that I revealed.
Hear me. Of course, I can't go bother nobody else.
I feel like I would be like her, be like, all right, like I helped you out, but now you're just annoying me. Like, you got to give me like an hour. Get out of my house. Get out. Go float somewhere.
What she should have done is gone to, and it's New York City. There's plenty of psychics in New York City. She should have gone to one of the
Jonathan,
But she don't know that. She don't know
that.
She could have found somebody else. But I agree with you. Whoopi Goldberg her Oscar was earned for this for this role.
She got the Oscar for this?
Yeah, best supporting actress.
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know
Which
that.
It is absolutely deserved. Her whole interaction during this film was really good. The level of the layer of irritation she was able to keep throughout the film felt relatable to what was going on, because you have to deal with this one woman who's not just listening to you and can see going off the tracks. Now you have somebody probably trying to, like, a cop after you. It's a Black woman. You got into a situation involving cops. That's not great.
Also, I love the scene when she lets him take over the body, and I know like it's a nice moment. You get to see Patrick Swayze and they're dancing, and he's dancing with Demi Moore. But I'm like, but when he like rubs, he's like touching her, he's putting his thumb over her lips and everything. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I can't get over the fact that in reality, this Whoopi Goldberg doing this.
I was thinking about the same. I thought I had forgotten how that scene played out, and at first I was like, "Oh, is Whoopi Goldberg and Demi Moore gonna be like slow dancing and stuff?"
Like,
right?
Like, what is going
on?
And
they and her and Patrick Swayze didn't kiss in that moment. I'm sure people would have been thinking, "Oh, this is just Whoopi Goldberg kissing her." So I'm sure that's why they didn't have them, full on kiss. Yeah. But rather than.
Probably because it would have got an NC-17, to be quite honest.
Yeah, that's an interracial. That's an interracial kiss, and then a lesbian kiss. No, that would have a lesbian kiss. Yeah, it would have been like 2 hits too hard.
The whole movie, I was thinking about that. I was like, what is Ghost rated? Which I think it's rated PG-13.
I think it's PG-13.
Yes, because
I only heard one F-bomb as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want to talk about freaking Willie Lopez. The most criminal name I've ever heard in my life. Like, it don't matter what you've done in your life. The second the judge is like, next case, the defendant, Willie Lopez, guilty. He's guilty. He did it.
Why is Willie Lopez?
Because that is clearly like the most crooked. Like, whoever's named Willie Lopez is like the most crooked man on the planet. Like, you can't trust nobody named Willie Lopez. That man is guilty.
You sound
of
like you know
something.
Willie Lopez.
I'm just
who did you
saying.
dirty.
Was it a Willie who did you dirty or a Lopez who did you dirty?
If
Or
someone
was it
told
a
you-
separate, like one Willie, one Lopez, and then like the combined name is like, well, if it's combined name, then it's like no.
I'm just saying, if their name is Willie Lopez, they can't be trusted. I'm sorry, they just can't. No disrespect to all the Willie Lopez's out there, but change your name legally because no
Well-
one is going to trust you.
I don't really trust
anything.
people with very phallic names, such as Willie.
You don't trust the dicks?
Nope. Which is an unnecessary name, by the way. Just an unnecessary name. There was no reason for that name. Why are you getting dick out of Richard? But that's like besides the point. That's my firm stance on that. And that was played by Ricky Alvis. He is no longer acting. But anyway, the whole movie is overall, did you guys enjoy the movie? Because going back, like it's that whole going back and watching stuff from like the 90s is an interesting thing because I'm enjoying it, but I'm also frustrated a little bit because I'm like, well, as an adult now watching this, there's so many things that I would have done differently than them. And before you were really good, you said, Jonathan, you remember being more captivated or this, that. And it's just like, well, every adult in here is making bad choices.
Well,
Why?
you know, I've actually liked it. Still, it's definitely not anything I would watch like on a casual like Wednesday where I just want to watch a movie real quick. But if it's on, you know, I enjoy it. I think it's because like it's pretty. The script's pretty airtight. It's not too bad.
Which it won also for best original screenplay at the Oscars.
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't really miss on too many beats. As far as like the story, like even I joke that it's like Tony Goldwyn's character Carl is not like very discreet, but that's only because I know Carl's dirty. If you don't know that going into this movie, you would just assume he's just like a friend for a longest time, and even like and until you find out that he's like, you know, like you get implications that something's up. I mean, he might be a little too close to Demi Moore like after Patrick dies, but even then you could probably understand is like he's being a good friend. Like they like even though like he wasn't dating Demi when Patrick was around, like he was really close to her too. So he probably would be the closest friend she has to like confide in after I keep calling him Patrick, his name is Patrick Swayze. But
Sam
Wheat.
Like after Sam died. Yes, Sam Wheat, the weakest name ever. All of them have terrible names.
Hey, Molly Jensen.
I think
was an okay name.
I think Oda Mae
Jensen-
Brown is a good name too.
Oda Mae, no, all right. She's
What?
It's the 90s.
What,
She's
does it
too
sound like
young
a-
to be having a name that old?
You sound like a
Sounds like she
like
should be
a,
working for, like she should be in The Color Purple again as a different character.
or like she should be like this, like a like on the bottle of syrup or
right.
on
I'm
the
about to say
box.
Oda Mae syrup. It's too sweet. It can't be beat.
I can say shit about Willie Lopez, but I can't say shit about that.
Oda Mae syrup. If you need syrup at the table, get Oda Mae maple.
That actually does sound like a genuine like commercial.
Right?
I think it's just Sam Wheat's name you have a problem with. Everybody else's name seems fine. Like Carl Burner.
Sam Wheat's name is trash.
Yeah, Carl Bruner is a good name, I feel
Carl
like.
Bruner sounds like he's a truck
Bruner.
driver that has too many stepchildren.
That's a oddly descriptive thing.
Right.
And I have nowhere else to go with that point.
So
Molly Jensen
I know-
sounds like she clearly has way too many student loans and has been doing cam girl stuff to pay for it.
anyway,
Jonathan, what were you? You said you had feelings. You said you had feelings changed.
no, I feel like I liked the movie as much as I did the first time I watched it. I had forgotten about all of the comedic elements in the film. I really liked how it was, suspenseful. That opening shot, I turned my TV up so loud because
it scared the hell out of me.
It scared me so much.
Because it was just
I
like
turned my
creepy music that goes.
I turned my TV up so loud because I thought I had to turn it up because I thought it was going to be really quiet. And then it was just like, ooh, ghost. And it scared me so much. And then I turned my TV way down. But after that, I liked the suspenseful elements. I liked the comedy, especially once Whoopi Goldberg's character was introduced. I also liked her some more props to Whoopi Goldberg. I liked her balance of like the emotional side plus the comedic side. And I feel like those types of movies I'm more drawn to rather than the ones that are just like dramatic all the way through. Because in life, even through the bad stuff, you're going to have times of comedy. You're going to have times of levity and laughter and things like that. So it makes it more realistic, I feel like, to the viewer. So that's what I appreciated watching it this time about the movie that I didn't necessarily get from it the first time.
Was there any
I want to know more about Train Man. I want to know his story.
He's just an angry poltergeist. Well, that's like the background they gave him. He's just an angry poltergeist. Well, he's not really a poltergeist because poltergeist is like multiple. It's a multiple of energies that just wreak havoc. What did they
I can't find Train Man on IMDb.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, he was the Subway Ghost.
What was his character's name?
Subway Ghost. He was Subway Ghost.
I'm still gonna keep calling him Train Man.
It's Subway Ghost. He's like just but like
sorry, what were we gonna say?
I don't recall them ever telling how he met him or how he knew where to find him.
No, he when Sam is running through the streets, he goes onto the subway train and he runs into him and he like pushes
and he's like, get off my train.
Yeah.
But I swear I thought he went looking for him because he needed some
second time.
Oh, the second time.
The first time he runs into him, and the only reason he hunts down the second time is because the first time he runs into him, he smashes the window so he sees that he can interact.
Yeah,
with, like the real world.
My question is, and if there is a problem, my main problem would be, and this is not a Ghost specific, like Ghost the movie specific problem, but it's a Ghost problem in general, like the whole genre. If you are walking on the pavement or walking down the stairs or walking in the earth, why aren't you just falling through like the center of the earth? Like how are you able to but you can walk through walls and you can am I making sense?
No, you are. And for those answers, I would suggest watching Danny Phantom. I mean, no. He does. It is, and rules. The thing is, he does have to train himself to go through walls, and the other ghosts that he interacts with have to as well. And there's like, I think one where he just keeps floating downwards because he's like, oh, I can't solidify myself, so he's like floating. He keeps going down.
I always think of it as a thing of like the ground is a spiritual thing, like you can't, because it's like, if you want to go biblical about it, every human being comes from earth and is given their spirit. If you want to be a little more like ethereal, like you bury bodies into the ground, that's where their spirits lay to rest, inside the ground. So the ground is almost like a spiritual like border. And then, but like walls and stuff, that's man-made. Like the spirits didn't make that, we did. So that's why you can walk through walls.
Then how do ghosts get on the second floor?
Yeah, and how do they sit in chairs? He was sitting on chairs throughout this whole movie.
Listen,
actually, that was a good point too. Now that I thought about it, because he can interact with things.
Because he figured out how to sit around and stuff and focus up his chi so that he can, I don't know, just making this up.
I think of it simply as they're probably not fully touching the ground. They're all just kind of floating.
Just hovering. So I don't leave footprints.
Yeah, why they don't make sounds or anything because they're not actually touching the ground.
I just love that he ran down the escalator. I'm like, can't you just like float down? It'd be a lot faster.
It was weird. Everything,
I mean, it's a great shot. That shot of that escalator, beautiful, symmetrical shot. The one with her up on the stairs too, where she like pushes the jar down.
The jar.
Beautiful looking shot. Which that house is beautiful in general.
They did a lot of good. The camera work was just really well done for this movie. They knew how to angle it. The only thing visually I think wasn't good in this movie were the demons or the army of the bad ghosts.
It's the technology they had at the time.
No, dude, they put a face on it. Like if it had just been like creepy shadows, I get it. But some of them came out of the ground with like the face.
They just pick Willie up and they're excuse me. They just pick Willie up and they're just like, yeah, you come with us, big fella. No, hold on, wait, what? Wait, what? Nah, ain't no warnings. Because I'm like, Patrick Swayze had a choice. Sam got to look at the light and the angels were coming for him. And he was like, nah, I don't want to go yet. And they're like, okay, that's cool. See you later. And then they just turned the light off and let him do the whole movie. They're like, okay, you ready now? Okay, cool. We'll come and get you now. Come on over. And it's just like, they gave him time. These ghosts, they're just like, damn that. Ain't no time. We are too busy to be letting people walk around here that are bad people. You coming with us, big fella. Let's go. The fiery pits await.
Maybe in that sense, maybe when you're a good human, you have a choice. When you're bad,
you have a choice.
You gotta go when you gotta go. It's your time.
Unfinished business. Maybe they were like, they're like, we see that your life is complete. They're like, you weren't doing much with your life anyway. What unfinished business do you have? What loved ones clearly do you have to say goodbye to? Nobody liked you. You had problems from the start. All right. There's nobody like, let's just go. Let's not waste time. Like we got other like humans to pick up. We know
the light came on and they're just like, oh my God, is that Patrick Swayze? I love Tu Wong Fu. That movie's awesome. You're coming with us, right? Nah, I'm busy. Okay, we'll be back later.
The movies of the 90s were so weird sometimes, but then I feel like that's probably what people will say about the movies of like today. Because anytime I watch the movie of the 90s, it's also because I think it's just the modern technology I'm used to. It's no longer presented in the old ones, but I know it that's not where it belongs, of course. So I'm just like, oh, this could have been solved so much easier with certain things.
People are gonna say our movies are weird for sure. Everything Everywhere All the Time just came out, and that is easily one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen.
I loved it. Oh my God,
it's good, but it's weird. In fact, every A24 movie, almost all of them, are going to be considered like those weird movies of the 2010s to 2020s.
My mom kind of got like, I don't want to say bored or disinterested because she found it like too weird sometimes. I'm like, what? It was great. She's like, it just got really weird. But like,
it seems like that's the discourse, either really weird or fantastic. There's no in between. People find it either really weird or fantastic.
I'm like huge on the multiverse theory, so like that was like my bread and butter there. And I guess the movie could be said for the same thing about this. This movie got weird at some points because like with the Whoopi Goldberg, scenes, and then him and that central pottery scene, and just putting it all together, it was kind of a weird film because all this stuff is going on when there's like cops trying to launder money, and like had Sam just left Molly alone, the cops would have been the two guys, Sam and William. Is that the other crooked cop? Was it William?
Or you mean
oh no, there was no crooked cop.
Finance.
Willie was
the finance,
and then and then Carl and some other person.
No, there were crooked cops in the film too.
No, there were no cops.
Was it?
Yeah, there were the cops that she went to.
Yeah.
Oh, that she went to. The cops that she went to, and they didn't. And they said, "Oh, this is not real." Yeah.
I think I'm adding something else into my head. You're right. They were finance guys. Wow, I just added a whole different movie in my head. Had they left Molly alone, honestly, the guys would have been fine.
Yeah, but she would have also ended up with a crappy, because regardless, if Sam had left her alone, Carl was still gonna go after Molly, like as like a love interest. He was going.
No, I meant sorry. Carl had left him alone. Honestly, no, Sam had too. But everybody would have been fine if everybody left Molly alone. But because they both went after Molly, the other ones, had to fight with each other for that.
I seem to think I'm pretty sure Carl would have still been like kept bothering Molly because he wanted to be with Molly. Why? I don't know. But
that's why he got dragged to hell by like the demons you see in the corner of the room.
You think you just go sleep with Patrick Swayze's wife like that? Come over here. going to the fiery pits, big fella. You and Willie Lopez.
That was the scene that I remembered the most, perhaps, when he gets stabbed in the stomach. Except I remembered it as the neck, but he got stabbed in the stomach by the window pane.
Here's a
I
question.
thought he had fallen on like pipes. I remember pipes for some reason.
I remember him falling too.
I remember falling and I swore it was pipes, but I didn't. I was like, oh, that was like solid glass that went through him then.
But here's my question. Do you guys feel like Sam deserved to go to heaven after that? Because he bothered Willie and Carl and got them killed. Like if he had just left them alone, they would have been fine. So by extension, he did kill them. I mean, I'm sure he didn't intentionally mean to do it, but he did get them killed.
Technically, he got them killed. He put Molly in danger, and then Otome, she also helped in stealing of money. And like,
but they gave it to God. So
it's
therefore
still
it's okay.
a theft.
But
it's still a theft.
But it was also in self-defense, you could argue, post-death self-defense.
But larceny.
Right. And Willie did kill Sam in the first place. So it's like an eye for an eye. I got you, you got me.
Okay.
Or, you got me, I got you.
First off, I'm not biblical, so you can keep your eyes. I'll take the whole head. But like technically he did involve himself in the killing of two people, grand larceny, the endangerment of another individual, actually two individuals.
Identity theft.
No, probably not. He racked up a bigger thing than them.
I mean, he got both of them killed, and then Heaven's just like, come on in. And I'm like, I don't know if after this adventure, his soul is as pure as it was when we started, before we got here.
Willie had went and like gotten to Otome and her Otome's sister. So he put like 3 people in danger. So there was like countless lives in danger.
But see, they deserve to die. They was fitting to cut off Arsenio for Love Connection. They know they were wrong for that. They know dang well when Arsenio's on, ain't no changing the channel.
He said, that's right. Don't adjust your TV. I'm black.
Arsenio's the man.
Arsenio Hall, is he still alive?
He is. He is very much still alive.
He's still very much alive. I don't know.
Yes.
Like I find actors from like the 90s. And I'm like, are they dead or not?
Yes, he is still alive because he was just in Coming to America too.
Oh right, because I ran to Amazon Prime and watched Coming to America too.
You should have.
It came out
because it's a good movie. It's actually not too bad. I actually liked it. It's not better than the first one, but it's still pretty decent.
I don't like sequels that came out like almost 2 decades later. Oh, do you think they'll have a sequel to like Ghost? What if she got pregnant?
No,
and had
but
a ghost
they should
baby?
have.
That probably is what they would do. Is that she was pregnant? Little did she know she was pregnant, because the movie just ends. Like Sam goes to heaven and then the movie's over. So there is a lot of wiggle room for them to be like, maybe she was pregnant and didn't know it. And now she's going to have a baby, and that baby has access to the spirit world. And so they could actually talk to Sam Wheat.
But no, it's the spirits have moved on though. So you can't talk to them when they're down or up or wherever they're going.
Oh, fair point. But regardless, the baby is like there. And then because Demi Moore's still alive, Demi Moore dies, and then she's the ghost. But her child could like see her. She's got the gift. Or
it's also
whoever the
And
child
then
is.
Tony Goldwyn is the villain, and he's trying
dead.
to do something.
And he's in the fire.
Right, but
he's a demon. He comes back as a
escaped
demon.
somehow.
Yeah, he comes back as like a vengeful demon or like a vengeful spirit.
And Train Man is still Train Man, and he's still in the subway.
Subway guy
out here terrorizing people.
If
he's on the subway.
He's still alive, that man looked pretty old in the movie.
feel like I've
I
seen
mean, they
him
could
in other
recast
stuff.
him. He wasn't famous. Just get a new person.
I've seen him in quite a few stuff.
I also saw that there is an Indian remake. It says on IMDb an uncredited remake of Ghost, but the artwork is the exact same with like the kissing on the neck. But yeah, but you know what I was thinking when I was watching it? I would watch a musical version of Ghost, like on Broadway or like a play or something. Like I would watch a musical version of it.
That'd be annoying.
No, I think it would be great. I'd be down
because
for that.
Broadway likes to do musical versions of like 80s and 90s movies.
It's just gonna be, I don't know. It just feels like it would be because it's gonna be as soon as Oda Mae comes in, she's gonna sing a gospel song, gospel or R&B. And then, you know, when Patrick Swayze, they're gonna sing that Elvis song, like as the during the Pottery scene, of course, because they have to. And then also Tony Goldwyn, he's gonna have like a vaudeville type number. Because
why vaudeville?
Why vaudeville?
I don't know, because he's the villain.
Yeah, but he doesn't at the beginning up until you were right, up until a little bit into the movie, he doesn't present as a villain. Not unless they're like doing monologues on the side and suddenly
that's
like
scene when he runs into Willie Lopez, he's gonna be all like McCavity. Just like the cat, he's gonna be McCavity Cat from freaking Cat.
Let's not compare this hypothetical musical to Cats.
Yeah. I would see
Cats, the stage play musicals.
Okay, the stage play maybe.
It's the movie that's trash.
It's so much of that and more. I think a musical would actually be really fun of this, because you're right, they have been doing like a lot of 80s movies that are now like musicals. But I do feel like there would be like a lot of interpretive dancing like happening in the background of this, especially during the Pottery scene. Like there'd just be a lot of like extras doing in like an interpretive dancing style. Like that's where my brain went to. I'm like, I could just see like them holding up like, what are those things? They like blow in the wind. They're like nuts. Yeah, like ribbon style going around. And like stuff. So I think there would be a weird amount of interpretive dancing in this for some reason. But I think a musical of Ghosts would actually do better than if they try to like ever remake it or make this weird like sequel.
I think a remake would be way better because it's already a movie. So it's like you don't have to try. Like,
but they would have they wouldn't
on the whole film.
Don't call it Ghost 2. Call it something completely different, like what The Shining and
they would call it
what's the sequel to The Shining called?
Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep. They would have to do something like that where it's kind of unrelated but related at the same time.
Jonathan, we know what they would call it. They're gonna call it Ghost. It's just gonna be Ghost.
No. This is how people like to do like remakes and sequels of. It would be The Ghost.
Right.
Because that's what they do now. The Ghost. Oh,
but they do that. They do that. I feel like they do that more so with franchises. Ghost wasn't a franchise. It was just one movie.
So it's just gonna be Ghost. It's just gonna be Ghost, and it's gonna be the same story, but with new people, starring Robert Pattinson. And I don't know, freaking who's like a famous white woman right now?
Zendaya.
Yeah, sure.
Oh no, not white woman, but
not white woman. But you know what? I wouldn't put it past him. Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. There we go. That's the cast of Ghosts.
Half a white woman.
If you want to go younger, do Zendaya and Andrew Garfield. It'll mess up the dynamic because Tom Holland will be like, "Nah."
I think that would be hilarious. Actually, they should just be in something together now.
Andrew Garfield is like 10 years older than Zendaya.
That's okay.
I think Robert Patterson's a little tired looking to be this.
That's right. You know what? You're right.
No, I love Robert Pattinson. I think he's great. I like him so much more now.
But he already played a vampire, so he can have the paleness going on.
Yeah, but I don't want. He is Batman. There's actually a Batman I liked, and I don't like that. But like he's just a little
Timothy Chalamet. And Zendaya.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
But they've already started.
They would do Timothy Chalamet.
Actually, none of these picks have been good. We gotta get like a heartthrob. Like Patrick Swayze was a heartthrob. That's what made the movie. You know, it has to be like somebody like that. Timothy Chalamet is like a really good actor, but he's not like a teen heartthrob. Like girls don't have Timothy Chalamet like posters in their wall.
Oh,
yeah,
I think they do.
They probably do actually stand
But-
up.
I don't think he's that great of an actor, honestly. And I never understood that.
That's not the first time I've heard that, to be honest.
depends on the movie.
I think he's a fine actor, but you're not the first person I've heard.
Because like I
that.
really liked him. You know what it is? It's that he has a lot of the same type of performance for a lot of stuff. But then it's like, because I felt the same way until I watched Don't Look Up, and he's great in Don't Look Up because he's not playing moody Timothy Chalamet, who's just like stoic and sad. Like
I'm excited to see Wonka
and everything else.
Wonka?
Yeah, he's gonna be Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka. Yeah.
It's a prequel.
Hold on. I need to Google that one now. Talk about the movie. I didn't know. See, this is the thing is I don't follow his career because I don't find him that good of an actor. And people like speak about him, and then I'm like, oh, like okay.
I know who should be Harry Styles.
Speaking of, that was gonna be one of my
too.
points. I listened to half of the Harry's House album on my way home today, and it was excellent. The half that I listened to so far, it was very excellent. I recommend
it. It's just he's getting more into acting, man. He's been in a lot of stuff, and he's actually pretty decent, like with the stuff he's been in. I mean, like the first thing I think I noticed him in was Dunkirk, but even in other stuff, like I'm excited to see him in more Marvel stuff because he was in Eternals in the after credit scene. But I'm excited to see him if they do an Eternals too. I see him do stuff. He's also got another movie coming up soon that he's in.
If we're not using Zendaya, we could use Anya Taylor-Joy.
She's pretty popular right now. She'd be a good like addition. You know, if we want to get a young cast, yeah, that's a good pick. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to just keep Zendaya in there, she can be.
I mean, we can't keep Zendaya. She's like the super popular right now. So she's like one of the.
If you get her, you like put her in wherever she wants to be.
But I feel like Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, they were in like their like mid 30s in this. Maybe early 30s.
Yeah. Patrick
Swayze was definitely in his like mid 30s in this, I feel like. So maybe they would be a little older.
That's the thing though. A lot of the older movies that I've seen like from like the 90s and the early 2000s, the actors are much older than I recall them to be. And I think it's just because I was younger. So I was like, oh, they're like 20 something in my brain. Because you know, when you're a kid, that's what you think. And then I come back and watch them. I'm like, wow, they were old. Like they had bald spots going on and like crow's feet and stuff. And I was like never prepared for that because I'm like, oh, you're like older than what I am actually right now, even I think.
Because how they've made movies has changed. Like before it used to be about just making like one good solid movie. If you got a trilogy, that was like good for you, but that was never the goal. Now the goal is to make a franchise, and it's harder to make a franchise with people who are already like in their 30s. Because eventually they're going to get either too old to keep playing the same role, or they're just going to get tired of it. Marvel got lucky, to be honest.
I don't know how Marvel did what they did.
Because they got lucky because they got people who were like not famous. So they're like, yeah, I am willing to do 6 or 7 movies and sign a contract that says I have to do 6 or 7 movies because I got nothing else that's making this type of money right now. So...
Do you guys think you would watch a remake of Ghost? Like, is that something that would be like, yeah, I definitely want to see this?
You know,
I'd watch it.
I don't know if I'd like it compared to like the original, because I feel like the original is such a staple of its time. Like, I don't know if like trying to remake it now would be if it would have the same heart. I mean, you could. It would just really depend on who's the actors and what the script is. You know, because Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze do a great job in Ghost. Mm-hmm. They are great. They have great chemistry. They're a great couple. It just works.
Okay, I did the math. I looked at their things real quick. Patrick Swayze was about 37, 38.
Oh, wow.
Demi Moore was about 27, sense. 28.
Not really but yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Right. That makes sense.
Whoopi was about 35. And 34, 35.
She already looked like she was like getting close to her 40s.
Whoopi Goldberg, like there's a certain point she stopped. She like hasn't aged in a really. She kind of looks the same, but she went
She's
to
like
like
frozen in time now.
Yeah, she like suddenly hit 40 out of nowhere, like in her early 30s, and just has not really that aged that much since then.
Right.
It's like weird.
Tony Goldwyn was about 29, 30.
Okay.
Patrick Swayze was like the oldest. I believe that.
I just heard you swallow all dramatic. I was like, were you just shocked?
It was
Tony
so much.
Goldwyn's-
Well, like
Tony
I'm like I
Goldwyn's-
have a little bit left. Let me just take care of that. Also, I looked up Wonka. And I feel
Go
ahead. No, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say about the Tony Goldwyn real quick. He watching this movie, and I feel like because I don't know if you guys watched it, but I did the Showtime like 7-day trial or whatever. So I watched it through that, and I feel like they remastered the film, so the quality looks pretty good. And he had like a baby face. Maybe I'm used to seeing him nowadays where he's like older, but he had like a baby face.
No, he definitely did.
So I thought he was younger.
Like I kind of got a grainy version found on YouTube, and he does have a baby face, and he's kind of got like very sharp cheekbones. I feel like more than what he has now. Like he has very sharp features. And I think that was another good thing they chose when they were choosing him as a bad guy, because they always choose bad guys with like sharp cheekbones and a sharp, like square jaw. And yeah, a lot of them.
Speaking of sharp features, Timothy Chalamet, Wonka.
Oh yeah,
you gonna say
Wonka. I feel like this movie is only being made because
it's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary. Absolutely,
Exactly.
no need. And this is that whole thing of like they keep just like making attractive versions of things that really shouldn't be attractive, like Willy Wonka. And like that's reminded me of this guy on TikTok who did sexy Willy Wonka. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen that.
No,
I've maybe seen it once a long time ago.
It was a guy who, you know, his TikTok was all about dressing as Willy Wonka, but he's a very young man. Or I think he's like 20, 21. And like a bunch of people were like, you look like a sexy Willy Wonka. And he, of course, gave right into that character. And I think this movie is an outcome of that now. Because there is no reason for this movie.
Will forever be the perfect Willy Wonka. Okay. Like that is Willy Wonka for life.
Who did you say?
Gene Wilder. Like the
Mhm.
original. It's just that's his character. No one will ever do better. I don't care what this movie.
No,
looks
I agree with you because
like.
the only other one was Johnny Depp, and like that movie was
Johnny
like a
Depp.
horror film in itself.
I like them.
Terrifying.
I like them both, but in different ways. They're both different movies to me.
I like the ending more of the Johnny Depp remake because you get to kind of see like the Willy Wonka character getting into becoming family, and that he didn't have to completely give up his whole life. When in the other one, you kind of feel like that's what's going to happen. He's kind of going back to say goodbye to his family in the flying elevator. So I like the endings a little different. The way they had the kids like get the way they change and the way they didn't fix them afterwards when they were leaving. I don't know if you guys remember that from the Johnny Depp version.
No. I appreciated that though, because I remember watching the first one and like the old one and being like, I'm sorry, did he just let these children die? Like we don't get to see them. So it's just implied that they're just dead. Versus in the Johnny Depp one, no, they lived. They're just going to be freaks now. Like one's going to be blue and extremely flexible. The other one's going to be stretched like Laffy Taffy. His life is honestly going to be the hardest. The other one, she just smells like trash. She was just in the trash chute. And one of them, and the other kid too, Augustus. All he needs is a shower. He's eating like the chocolate off his body, but he's not made of chocolate.
Why do you assume children were just dying in the factory like that?
Because you don't see them ever again.
So as soon as a child is off camera, you're like, well, they died. They're dead. They're gone.
Listen, I'm just saying that in the room, like the one turned into a blueberry, and his solution is, yeah, we're gonna squeeze the juice out of her. That to me sounds like she's gonna die. Humans shouldn't be squeezing juice out of any of their orifices.
Well, no. I'm not gonna go with that joke. I'm just gonna
I'm just saying. But anyway, Ghost is good.
I was reading some I was reading some of the background of it, and they mentioned some of the people who were considered for the role of Sam Wheat, including Tom Cruise, Alec Baldwin, Tom Hanks,
Nope.
Harrison Ford, Michael J. Fox.
Nope.
Paul
Michael J.
Hogan,
Fox, maybe. I could see Michael J. Fox at that time.
Kevin Bacon. I can see Kevin Bacon in it.
I could not see Kevin Bacon.
I can see Kevin. I think
Really?
Michael J. Fox and Tom Cruise are too short.
Apparently
They'd be
Bruce
behind
Willis.
Demi Moore, and all you can see is the arms, but not their head.
Yeah.
Apparently Bruce Willis turned down the role as he did not understand the script and later called himself a knucklehead for turning it down.
I mean, I get that. At the same time, though, I think I feel like Bruce Willis is too gruff. Like it would have, and also the fact of Demi Moore like being 27 at that time, it would have looked like her like stepdad
Yeah.
dating her, and not like someone who's her age. At least Patrick Swayze,
As opposed to when
despite-
they were ended up actually dating, marrying, and having children.
True. Yeah, that's very true.
That's right.
But it's
Yeah.
like,
They
but
like
it's like-
had like 3 of them too.
But Patrick Swayze, even though he was like 10 years her senior in real life, like he had a young face. Like he still looked like he was probably in his late 30s, or not late, early 30s to mid 30s. So it's believable that they could be close to the same age.
They had chemistry
visually, and they had great chemistry.
I think anybody out of that
Apparently-
list was definitely Kevin Bacon. You're right. He would have probably fit almost as perfectly into that role as Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
All I know Kevin
Um,
Bacon has is more villains than heroes, so that's why I can't see it. And I know he did Footloose, where he was just a normal dude, but it's just everything he's in, he's always sleazy. Like, so I'm just like, I can't see him being like the nice guy. Like, if anything, I would expect him to be in on the scam that Carl was pulling. Just like that I believe, not that he was the straight one and Carl's the one who's the criminal.
For the role of Molly, Michelle Pfeiffer, Molly Ringwald, Meg Ryan, Julia Roberts, and Nicole Kidman were considered.
Nicole Kidman, I could see. Molly Ringwald would have been too. She's got too much of like a baby face. She would have been like too. I wouldn't have taken her as seriously as Demi Moore, I think.
I don't think any of those actresses, I don't see them fitting in very much. I only think Julia Roberts because she was so big at the time.
Yeah.
But like that character also had to be played. A lot of her roles back around that time were very lead female, very empowering, very strong, like forefront type of characters. Demi Moore's character in this movie is a little more scared and like pulled back
Confused.
and like, you know, a smaller version of a leading role, I feel like. So I don't think Julia Roberts would have fit in because her characters that she was originally playing in back then were just very powerful, very like strong, and Demi's character didn't really feel strong that often.
Yeah.
She was more scared, confused, and like crying most of the time, and just like, yeah, I didn't think it would fit. And yeah, Demi Moore kind of had that like softer feel to her. I didn't see many of her movies in the 90s, so I don't know how many characters she
Me
played.
neither.
Yeah,
I haven't seen
so
too many of her movies.
so I
Demi
think
Moore. I mean, at most I've seen Ghost and G.I. Jane. That's about it. From like her like back catalog.
For Oda Mae Brown, Tina Turner and Oprah Winfrey both auditioned for the role of Oda Mae Brown.
Oprah was up for Oda Mae. Listen, they just keep dialing into the color purple. The color purple cast.
And Tina Turner, I wonder how she would have done in the role.
Which would have been funny if they had kept that joke in the movie where he's like, he was so drunk that night, he could have been having a conversation with Tina Turner and he wouldn't have remembered.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that joke was in the movie.
that would have been a good joke.
That would have been a great joke because it would have been Tina Turner been like,
Little wink to the audience. I just like Whoopi so much in this movie. I don't want anybody else there.
Same. Like Whoopi
Same.
fits this role perfectly. I can't
That's why
see
she won the award out of
else.
anybody else. Yeah, no, she fit into it because she
Yeah.
was also like the only real comedian, the real only Black female comedian that I can think of from that time that was able to harness such a role. Because Oprah didn't have that such a comedic feel to her,
No.
and neither did Tina Turner. They a lot of times any movie they played in had, which is completely understandable, had to be very, again, strong roles. They didn't have that like comedy release. They didn't have that like feeling of like, they had to be very strong roles where they again had to present themselves in these movies as very strong women. Whoopi Goldberg's character was presented as strong, but she was also presented as kind of like whatever, and like a little bit like I'm
like
and got to
person
just
with a
have fun.
past. Like, she like Whoopi Goldberg plays those characters very well, of like the like con woman type character very well.
And to top it off, she's from New York, so she
That's
fit
true.
in well with that aspect.
Yeah, I don't want anybody but Whoopi in that. And I think if they ever try to make a remake, they really do have to just bring Whoopi Goldberg back.
I mean, she's still around.
She could say the same role. Or she could do the same. Yeah, she could do the exact same role.
I can't think of another female. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is that somebody could be like, yeah, this person would definitely hold up to the standard of Whoopi Goldberg back in the Ghost movie. But I personally can't think of one. Black
the only
female
other
comedian.
one I could have maybe seen, but it would have been a little too goofy. It wouldn't have been as like down to earth. Is probably Wanda Sykes.
I was thinking the same thing, but like with Leslie Jones. For a second,
are you talking about now?
Yeah, no, now.
I meant back then.
Oh, no. I'm talking about now.
But
was
now,
Wanda Sykes around back then? Was she
I think so, but I think she was just starting out. I don't think she was like famous.
Out. No, I was talking about if there was ever a remake, who could fill her role. And I was like, maybe
remake. I mean, maybe Leslie Jones. I just feel like Leslie Jones, it would be too much of, because what makes Whoopi good is that Whoopi is playing a character. I feel like Leslie Jones would just be Leslie Jones, as you've seen her in anything she's ever been in, but now she's in Ghosts.
It's hard for people with such strong personalities to sometimes reel it in when they're acting.
Ooh, you know who I could see?
Who?
Issa Rae. I could see her.
That I could see. Yeah. I could see Issa Rae doing it, or any of the girls off Black Lady Sketch Show for that matter, doing that role.
No,
well, except Sky Townsend. Sky Townsend is like crazy with her. I mean, it's great. It works for Black Lady Sketch Show, but it wouldn't work for like a
or a Keke Palmer.
You and Keke Palmer, do you?
But she could play the role. She could
actually. No, I'll give her like Keke Palmer does have like that energy where she could just be like, I'm like the scene I'm focused on.
No shade to Keke Palmer, by the way. Keke Palmer is great. I'm just saying,
she gives away
Jonathan is like Keke Palmer's biggest cheerleader. Like
she is a really great actress, and I think she could do it because she does have those like she is able to fluctuate between these serious and like funny moments. Like with my favorite scene throughout the whole movie is just with them going to the bank and Whoopi Goldberg getting that money. And then like leaving and then being like, well, I don't want to give it up. He's like, you have to. You need to. She's like,
but
fine.
She's holding that check. She's just
with the nun and everything. I could see Keke Palmer doing that. Like, I could see her like.
I can't.
Because I think she did do that. I think there was a scene where she's done that.
I like.
And she gives it to the. Sorry, side note about Whoopi. She gives it to the nun, which is like funny, foreshadowing. Yeah, to Sister Act. Had you
done Sister Act before that?
That's what I was trying to see. Was Sister Act before or after? Because I know the second one definitely was after. The second one was like late 90s. So I think the first one was.
Let me take a look. Oh wow!
First one was 92.
Has done so much stuff.
Also, I was gonna say, Jonathan, I'm surprised you didn't hit up your homie from Abbott Elementary, because Quinta Brunson would be a great.
Right, I was just thinking.
Would do that character great in a remake. I love Quinta Brunson in that character.
Like Quinta a lot. I feel like it's too short for that.
Height don't matter.
No, it does. If you're against like two really tall actors and you're trying to be like, look, I'm projecting for the spirit world. Okay. Can you also, like step on a stool so I can like?
And thinking about Black Lady Sketch Show, Robin Thede. I think Robin Thede would be great in that role.
Yeah, I could see her in the role. I could see her.
I will.
All right, producers, we've already cast the. We've
given you plenty of casting picks that you could use.
Exactly.
Like plenty of names.
Yeah.
Feel free to just like all you have to do. We don't have to be involved anymore in the project. Just send us a cut.
Send us an executive producer check. Also have us on set.
And put our name in the credits.
That's right.
That would be great. I want
And
to
put our podcast name in the credits too.
everything in the
I don't know if
credits.
they do that, but sure. Based off of a pitch from First Wants to Die podcast.
I mean, they made a movie off of tweets. Remember, we just talked about this.
That's true.
That's
They
true.
could have it
That's
like
true.
after a podcast episode. This is
Which,
why we made
funny
it.
enough, that actress, Taylor Page, who was in At Zola, I didn't realize she's on Kendrick Lamar's most recent album. As a feature.
Yeah, I knew she was
Huh.
I knew she was a singer.
Yeah, she raps on it. Well, raps / performs, because it's for a song called We Cry Together, which is just an argument in rap form. It's a lot of people have been comparing it to Malcolm and Marie, the song, because it's just a really heated argument between two people, and then it ends with them being like, all right, now let's have sex. And like, and that's Malcolm and Marie, the whole movie, like in 3 minutes.
Hetero relationships confuse me, and I get so confused by them. Really quick, one other thing before we start wrapping up, because it's about that time.
Sure.
So the writer said that he got the idea of ghosts from, he wanted to tell the ghost story from the ghost's perspective, because one day he was watching a production of Hamlet, which began with the ghost Hamlet's father saying, "Revenge my death." And he was like, I want to bring that into the 21st century. So technically, Ghost is an adaptation of Hamlet.
Adaptation, but yeah.
Adaptation. Yeah, how he is. But yeah, no, so technically it's connected to Hamlet. Hamlet inspired Ghost.
I mean, it makes sense. It's like most of the best stories are like are versions of that type of thing, of like, hey, I wonder what this story is from this person's perspective.
Does that mean that Oda Mae's character is technically Hamlet? Because she's the one communicating with the ghost. She's the one that helps to get the revenge and everything. So
That's
technically,
true.
Oda Mae is Hamlet.
Wow.
And Demi Moore's character is just the queen who is not willing to listen to Hamlet.
I love that he uses a pen, like that penny floating though. I'm just like, that would change my life forever. Then everyone, people are like, ghosts aren't real. I'm like, yes, they are. I know for a fact they are. I
would love for you to make that argument when people are like, ghosts aren't real. I saw it. A penny floated towards me gently.
A penny floated in my hand.
It was like the tiniest float too. And that's why I was like, would like having somebody come up to you, because the whole movie doesn't necessarily need Molly to believe Oda Mae. Molly's technically a very, very nice character. It's very sweet to see their relationship, but she is not necessary to the story, really. I get that she's the reason he sticks around, but she doesn't have to believe him. The whole part of her story doesn't really need to exist. She could disappear most of the movie and he'd still like try to fight them, because Carl still wants Molly, but like they could just probably do that all like
I would say she's necessary though, because Carl has a one-up over him that he doesn't, which is that Carl's alive. So it's harder for Sam to convince Molly of things, because he has to just off jump convince her that he's even there in the first place, versus Carl, she knows him. So all he has to do is be like, hey, Molly, I'm just coming over. And she's like, oh, okay, Carl, come on in. Little does she know, I'm here to hold you captive because your ghost husband is trying to kill me. So, I
ghost husband.
Yeah. Although the penny scene though, I was prepared for her to be like, stop trying to trick me with magnets.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking during that scene, I was like, okay, so they're not gonna lift the penny up because that's the trick that they're using to film this scene. They're just using a magnet on the other side of the door. But then they actually had him take the magnet off the door. But
even when he takes the magnet off, it'd be funny. She was just like, man, the magnets are crazy. They're making pennies float now in the midair. Science.
Science. Science, that'll explain it. All right.
What are your grades? What are your grades for Ghost? If you had to give it one.
I'm going to give it an A. The only reason I won't give it an A+ is because of those little kinks that we didn't quite figure out in terms of how the science behind being a ghost works.
But the science
Plus, no.
There's science. I mean, it's a fair question about how he can like not float through things. There are stuff he can't go through as well. So it's like he can solidify himself.
Right.
Yeah, pick up things.
So that is what knocks it down from an A+. And the fact that it's like, okay, you got to make the brown dude the villain, or not the main villain, but the robber.
His name is Willie Lopez. They one white dude, you know.
You and this Willie Lopez.
Bro, it's the fact that
you acted like they had to have a Willie Lopez. The only
Spanish character in this film was like the thug. Like,
well, they did have the lady who was getting her reading. They had her. Yeah. Remember?
She was all right.
So the superstitious Spanish woman and then the thug man. Great. I love the representation of my culture.
With a lot of respect. All right. Whoopi Goldberg's the main character. Heck, and all the black people in this movie all go to heaven. I mean, it's all above one, but I'm just saying.
Great.
Black dude on the hospital bed.
No representation for me. Great. Like superstitious woman and thug guy. Yay for Spanish.
The man with the world's most criminal name ever. Yes.
You really need to let that go. So you have an A, which is like, glad you guys got good representation and you all go to heaven.
That's right. All black people go to heaven, apparently, according to ghosts.
I don't know.
You suffered enough. God's just like, y'all can take a break. Come on in.
I mean, that's fair. What's your grade, Jerome?
Jerome, what is your grade?
This movie, I think I would give this movie an A+. It's definitely not like one of those movies that I'd like watch over and over or anything like that, but I can recognize it as a really good movie. It still holds up. I think the effects for the time like are still pretty decent, mostly because they don't try to do anything too crazy. It's just
that
like,
part.
It's just enough. They do just enough to get by. It's like, look, we're not gonna have like a whole bunch of scenes where he has like a bunch of ghost fights. Like we're just gonna have the one ghost effects and keep it simple. And it works for that exact reason, and it doesn't make it goofy.
The only one I kind of knocked was towards the end when they're kissing and he's in his like ghost form, and you can clearly tell that she's just kissing the air.
He's just overimposed over her face.
Yeah.
But even then, I get it. I give it a pass. It's like it's a 90s movie when they didn't have the effects we have today, so it's the best they could do given the time. But the story is still really solid. Acting wise, everyone does a great job. It's a really good movie. I really like Ghost. If you haven't seen it, go watch Ghost. I mean, we've kind of spoiled most of the movie at this point. So if you listen to the whole episode, you
I mean, there's more.
Still,
there's
go
more
watch
going
the movie.
Yeah.
There's a little more.
Or just go
there's
watch
action. There's romance. There's heart. There's comedy. There's drama. There's jump scares in the beginning.
Arsenio Hall.
Arsenio Hall. Yes. Alex, what is your rating and final thoughts?
I honestly have to give this movie like a B. Not because like I like hate it or think it's bad, or it's a very good movie and it holds up, throughout time. There wasn't a lot of like, because sometimes when you watch older films, you're like, this wasn't okay. Like there's certain scenes where you're just like, this is bad. This is a bad scene and should not have even existed. This movie didn't have any of those. I did forget how long that pottery scene was.
Oh, it's long.
It is so
long.
One of the things I was like, I recalled that was nice about that movie was like, oh, that pottery scene was like, oh, it's a sweet short moment between them. But I'm like, that stretched out for quite some time.
Because they have her doing the pottery by herself, then him doing the pottery with them, and then them doing the pottery together, and then they forget the pottery all together and then just do things with each
Well,
other.
because at that point,
So-
it's like, girl, wrap your hands around me. Forget all this pottery stuff.
But
Move out the
also,
way.
like, you're like, it was just a much longer scene than I had recalled. I was like, oh, okay, we're still going. So, like, I was like, okay.
I was also thinking, sorry, 1 second.
No, go
I was
ahead.
also thinking in between the pottery and them like touching each other, their hands and stuff were clean. So I'm like, they had to be like, all right, 1 second, we're gonna wash our hands real quick and then we're gonna get to it.
That's actually a really good. Yeah.
It's
They're
like,
like, just keep
baby,
washing
I
your
mean,
hands.
it is sexy that we did the pottery thing, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't want a bunch of clay in places clay shouldn't be. So
Right.
let's clean up first.
I didn't think about that, but that's true because, like, yeah, they probably have like a bucket underneath the table, and they're like, all right, scrub. All right, let's get back.
Mhm.
Let's do it.
So the like scenes I know that were memorable ended up being much longer, and I was like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna go make popcorn. All right, came back. Oh, it's still this. Okay, all right, cool. I guess yeah. Like,
Did they play
actually-
the whole song?
Yeah, it was pretty much
Probably.
the whole
That's
song.
probably
length.
why the scene was so long. They played the entire
They
song.
pretty much played the
Start to
whole song.
finish.
Yeah.
Man,
And
giving
just-
Elliot from Euphoria a run for his money.
Oh God, that was a whole episode. Actually, probably the same length almost. And just like a lot of things, there were just like little things that I was like, oh, as an adult now, I see like maybe we're stupid moves to do as like an adult. So, like, the movie in general does still hold up time, and it's still like a pretty good film. I will not agree with the graphics of it, the ghost, the bad ghost. Look, it's like, yeah, you're right, they did what they could at the time, but like they could have easily just done the dark shadows, because that's spooky in general. The fact that they added the faces on the dark shadows, like it looked like somebody made a paper ghost with the faces cut out. That was no reason for that. It was already quite a spooky movie in bits. Like, you didn't need to have the little, and that was just like, oh, really? Why with the face? So like they tried to be a little extra in some parts that were not needed to be extra. So, but I think it's a pretty decent movie, and I think I mean, it is a classic. It is an absolute classic movie. And again, I just keep raving about Whoopi Goldberg's, acting in this film. And I think if you watch it, just, if you're like, oh, I gotta watch, I feel like I need to watch classic films, this is a good classic film to have, because Whoopi Goldberg's acting is just amazing in this, and I loved every bit of her in it. Patrick Swayze was also very good. I feel like Demi Moore's character wasn't given enough other than what she had, but then again, she was a morning character. Patrick Swayze's character was very good in what he did, and he held that role very strongly, and it was similar to a lot of characters he did play, the loving strong man. The villains they had were pretty decent, kind of annoying though, but then again, I just thought they were annoying because it's like creepy guys trying to hit on girls that are, sad right now, so like, not cool.
Not Willie. That's the line he won't cross. He'll murder and he'll rob and he'll break and enter, but
But he'll
won't
respect
break-
women's boundaries.
But he will respect a woman's boundaries. That's right. He's like her husband just died. Like, I'm not trying to.
Like, at least give him more than 2 days, man. Like, that's a little much. Like, you were there at the funeral. And
I would
everything.
love to see that conversation. That like Carl's like, yeah. So anyway, I got a date with the girl that whose house I need you to break into. Hold on. Didn't her man just die? Well, yeah. Do you have no shame? Do you have no respect?
Also, it's like we're trying to like launder money here and like trying to do shady stuff. Like, really, this is like what's going to take priority. Like, we're trying
This
to
is
do
the time, right?
like we're in the middle of like
It's-
raking in millions of dollars, and you're focused.
It's
But
just
anyway,
the
it's-
level. It's the level of dedication he had to the fact that he came over with the shirt unbuttoned. He already had plans.
No,
to
that
clap
was
some
like a
cheeks
thing
that
in the
night.
90s,
And
though.
then
Like,
he just poured coffee on himself.
Well, because he took off his tie. He took off his tie in the scene.
Hey.
you did. So that was a little creepy, but I still think it's like a movie people should see at least once. It is a classic film, and it is well done. And now that I learned technically it comes from Hamlet. That's even better. I think that's hilarious. It's a Hamlet. It's an adapt of Hamlet. I'm gonna say it like that now.
I just looked it up. Also, it's a shame there is no ghost Funko Pops, none whatsoever in reference to this
Really?
movie. There's not one for Demi Moore. There is one for Patrick Swayze, but for Dirty Dancing, not Ghost. And I'm like, that's a shame. There should be some.
Where do we submit a form right now? Is there like a form where you can like suggest
those
Funkos?
like pottery scene? Yeah, I bet there is. I bet we could just go on the website and like customer service. What do you want? Ghost 1990 Funko Pop, the pottery scene.
Customer service. What do you want? I just love that's their response. It's not how can I help you? It's what do you want?
Look, I'm sure they get annoyed. They're like, there's a bunch of people calling in about what type of Funko Pop they want. What?
I would think they would have one at least of Whoopi Goldberg, because I feel like her outfits are her looks are the most iconic from the movie, especially the "You in Danger" girl. That moment, that's been a meme for so long.
Her freaking, she's like, I'll say it how I want to say it. You in danger, girl. Like what? Okay, that's all you did was add "girl" to the end of what I just said. Also, there is no Whoopi Goldberg ghost figure either. There's no ghost figures from Funko. Not one.
Yeah, I just looked up too. But like, just so much of this movie is a bit memes. Like they're easily to make memes out of it because they do have that. Another thing I will say good about this movie, the comedy relief moments are so well placed. They're not like just thrown in there and you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. You're trying to lighten the mood and stuff. These were well placed and real, like well written to their character. Like when she's like, "You're in danger, girl." Like when you just said that is something like I feel like her character would have done. Been like, hey, knock it off. I'm gonna do it how I want to do it. And then it's just.
I love the four. It's like it says the account is $4 million. $4 million. How do you want that? It's 10s and 20s.
Oh my god,
that was very funny.
I would not have listened to Patrick Swayze's Ghost. I would have taken it all. I would have.
But then they would have tracked you down.
I would have said cash.
They still can track you down. They know it.
I got family in Mexico. You won't find me. I got. Don't worry about what I got in Mexico, but I got people in Mexico. I got my father's family. They live on a farm, I think. I don't know, actually. I might not go down. Right. I can't do farm work. I'm not a farmer girl.
Socials. Here we go.
Socials.
And done.
You can find me at Jonathan Keys on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you please. Please also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all of those places at The First Ones to Die. You can also email us, thefirstones2die@gmail.com. We'd love to get your emails. Who is your perfect? I mean, we already casted the movie, but who is your casting for the Ghost revival movie? And I bet you within like the next year or two, there will be an announcement of some sort of Ghost revival.
They're tired. They're running out of remakes.
They're making sexy Willy Wonka, so like now we're gonna have to deal with that. And Jerome, what can we find on the YouTube of ours?
Yeah, well, firstly, if you want to find me specifically, you can find me at Not Jerome Rhett on Instagram, as well as at RoboZoo Media and at Jerome_the_show for all the other creative stuff I'm doing. But if you want to find all of us and all the crazy cool stuff we're doing, you can find us not only on all of our, the places you can find podcasts like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, stuff like that, but also go on over to the YouTube channel at The First Ones to Die, on YouTube, where you can find all types of extra content like book reviews, mini reviews, vlogs, gaming content, and of course, video recorded versions of all of the podcasts. So if you want to see our lovely faces, go on over to there to see that. And Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me at Alex and Nobody on Instagram and on TikTok. And then I handle the TikTok account for the podcast, which I've kind of started treating like my own and just doing my own videos because you guys suck at social media. You guys post.
We leave it up to you to do the whole First Ones to Die thing, so we expect you to put some stuff up there for us.
Well, now it's just me complaining about you two.
Yeah, I've logged into the TikTok account like once, and that was maybe over a year ago.
No help, but definitely you can find me at Alex and Nobody, and Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I don't really use Twitter that often. I just the most random thoughts. It's like one of those shower thoughts accounts almost, with the way I tweet on it. It's the most random things on there. But that is it. And then next week we are reviewing. Do we have any idea what we're doing?
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. We are doing.
I know we
Doctor
said that
Strange.
last week, but this week for real this time. Doctor Strange.
We are doing Doctor Strange and the multiverse. And if anybody recalls, as I've said it so many times before, I am a huge multiverse believer, and I love the idea. And so I have quite a few thoughts about the multiverse in this movie. Multiverses are getting weirder, and I love it. But on that note, we all say goodnight to you guys, or goodbye, or good morning. I don't know what time anybody's listening to anything.
Whatever you're listening
whatever
to
time
this.
of day it is, bye is satisfactory. So, bye.
Bye.
Bye.